Good afternoon to you all. Namaste. Pranam. We are fortunate enough that Swamiji has joined with us to deliver a lecture on young mind and timeless goal. Udayanath Autonomous College of Science and Technology, Odaspur, Cuttack presents an international webinar to students, teachers of the college in particular and people associated with the college in general, as the motto of the college is to impart quality education to students, as it is a center of learning, research and methodology. I welcome you all to this webinar and request all the participants to participate, and after the talk is over, Swamiji's talk is over, you may ask your question, doubts or clarification regarding your life, regarding the topic on which he will highlight. I request all the participants and welcome all to this webinar. May I now request our beloved principal, Professor Lingaraj Misra, to inaugurate the webinar, international webinar for youth and for those who guide the youth, to inaugurate the webinar by delivering his inaugural speech. Professor Misra, principal of the college. Professor Misra.
Good afternoon to you all. This is another auspicious occasion when the college organizes a webinar seminar on the web, www worldwide connection is given on the internet. Full form of internet is international network. Thanks COVID-19, we are now connected globally and are able to discuss by organizing webinars. Various institutions and teachers and scholars and professors are interconnected, and would discuss about a very important topic of today: young mind. Young mind and timeless goal. But what's this timeless goal? I understand by this an eternal goal, because it's a subject of philosophy. Of course, I am not well known to the topic. In spite of that, since our PG department and UG department of philosophy is organizing this seminar, and I am here heading the institution. I am there to deliver the inaugural address. How would young people attain goal, and that too eternal goal, timeless goal? By the term young, adjective,
participant on the show. देखिए आम छुआ केते जण छथि ए सार अछथि अनिल सर
Arya Namaskar. By the adjective young, we understand normally young children means children. And I am sure that during childhood, as psychologists say, nearly 60% to 70% of the brain development takes place. And it's by that time that children, without knowing ABC of alphabet, can fairly know the language and also a part of literature, being advised by their family members. It's the vital time, very important time in the life of young men, young people, not young, exactly young men, young people, to be brought up in the family, surrounded by guardians and family members, and would be able to enlighten themselves and accordingly would march ahead in the attainment of that goal, which can be said to be eternal goal or timeless goal. Our Vedas and Upanishads have said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is now going to have only one culture because of spread of connectivity across the world. We don't find differences between or among nations, and it's going to be sooner or later a unified world, a unified universe having one culture everywhere. That's the goal to be achieved by the world government. In future, time will come when there shall be only one government. But meantime, we find a big difference, a big gap between have and have-nots, the poor and the rich, the poor nations and the rich nations. Some countries appropriating huge amounts of the international wealth, and some others do not have, or rarely do they have wealth. Or say, take for example, food. Food so vital for nourishment of the people. The minimum of necessities, the minimum necessities of a human life, food, clothing, and shelter. These basic needs are not available to a good deal of people, particularly young people in the underdeveloped and developing countries. On this background, how is it possible that young men would be enlightened in the mind and heart and would attain that goal, which is called eternal goal? Once Swami Vivekananda had said, before attainment of any eternal power, eternal say, wisdom, eternal experiences, or to attain sublimity in life, we must attain, first of all, equality in the sphere of education, in the sphere of health, and everyone in the world, not only in a country but also across the world, there shall be no differentiation in the quality of life. But that has not been attained even whenever we have already at the threshold of the first 25 years of the 21st century. In view of this, first of all, we have to attain the goal of nourishing the brain, nourishing the health condition of the young men, young people, children, so as to educate them in the best possible manner, since without education, everyone will remain blind. Only in some aristocratic family or say upper middle class families we find people can be educated in the line of attainment of spirituality or attainment of that sublimity, the truth, the eternity. The eternal goal that can be achieved as once achieved by Sri Aurobindo, once achieved by Swami Vivekananda, etc. But for most of the people, children, especially children, even young men, how would they be able to attain that level of thought, that how would they attain sublimity, attain that level of parlance, that particular reach? How would they reach the peak? Although we shall tell them in theory and practice how to attain that goal, but that would remain unachievable. In view of this, we must first of all bring about equality in the quality of education, in the quality of health and lifestyle. We must all possess, irrespective of sex, caste, creed, religion, we must all be equal in all respects, as we are all parts of humanity. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that was told one day. What a level of thought the monks, the sages had, and they have taught us in that line so delicately and so explicitly by means of the Vedas and the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, religious scriptures. As per the 2020 Human Development Index, it's found that 290 million people have almost been school dropouts. They are school dropouts because, you see, those people, those young minds who used to go to school up to class 8th standard and were taking their midday meals, now are going without such meals. And statistics says that the midday meal taken by these people, young minds, save about 290 millions. Such meals were their only meal for a day, only meal. And throughout the day, they were taking only that meal, but now they go without it. In our country, such a developing country like India, whenever we find this pitiable condition, this terrible condition, how can we say about attaining eternal goal? First of all, we must nourish our physical health, then mental health. Then we must also attain the other needs required in modern life, and then would then educate our children to attain sublimity or to move forward for attainment of sublimity. One will be astonished to know 1/5 of our labor force, those who are only blue-collar workers, those who are only blue-collar workers, working outside, not under roof, but under the open sky. They are working and toiling hard, working for 12 hours a day, and 1/5 of our labor force is only skilled. If 1/5 is skilled, then 4/5 of the workforce is unskilled. How pitiable condition it also poses before us. And we shall have to tackle that first. I am very happy today that we are among ourselves great monk, Swami Sudhananda Saraswati Ji Maharaj. And we shall listen to him. We shall hear him particularly in respect of the theme, the topic, young mind and timeless goal. He would speak very lucidly, very clearly, and to the best of satisfaction of the listeners. I am sure that he would also speak to us how to tackle the poverty, the harsh poverty, stupidity, illiteracy, before being enlightened in the spiritual manner, in the spiritual path, on the spiritual path, on the spiritual ways. Before embarking on marching on the spiritual path, we must eliminate hunger, stupidity, ignorance, poverty, inequality, and all other aspects to deal a human life in the most honored way. And this is a very important matter to be discussed. Before we go deep into philosophy to discuss about the theory and practice of attaining sublimity, attaining the peak of spirituality in one's life. That is the goal. Truly, that is the goal. I do admit.
Sir.
Here, we do admit all, irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. Everyone admits that that is the goal of life. But before that, how would or how should we have concentration in mind? Concentration is required. Yoga is to be practiced. And different other mechanisms are there. Might be delivered by Swamiji today in order to attain that point, peak, the sublimity. And truly, I am very happy to learn that Swamiji would speak to us in this connection. And that it can be said to be Swamiji the matter Swamiji would deliver would be sage speak, would be a sage speak. So before concluding my inaugural address, I must say that everyone should think that they have no limit. Everyone should think that they have no limit. And whatever to whatever extent they think to march on, to go ahead, if they remain determined, would definitely accomplish the goal. And one of the most important goals to be achieved is what is called happiness. And another, one of the most important matter, one most important fact to attain is what is called happiness. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. And second goal, sarve santu niramaya. And third, sarve bhadrani pasyantu. Ma kaschit dukhabhag bhavet. These are the goals of life and are taught by Nityavani. And these goals would be very elaborately discussed by Swamiji, which is said to be the sage speak. And we are here to listen to him after a short while from now. I am very happy to be a part of the webinar. Seminar on the web, www, on the internet, international network organized by the PG Department of Philosophy and Critical Thinking of our organization, of our institution, led by Professor Vijay Kumar Nayak, heading the department. I wouldn't speak more. I should limit my speech and conclude it here. Thank you all for hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your noble words. You have posed the problem that how can spirituality, the goal of human being, be maintained amidst the adverse situation. Really, you have opened the key of the webinar. Whether spiritualism is in consonance with materialism or it is different from it, we will listen to it. Now, I request one of our old students whose cooperation has given us the opportunity to organize such a webinar, international webinar. He is none than the other, Mr. Rajendra Prasad Mahapatra. I request him, one of our old student of this college, request him to introduce Swami Sudanand Ji Maharaj. He needs, of course, he needs no introduction. He is his own introduction. Yet, for our participants, he needs some formal introduction. Mahapatra, Rajendra, please introduce.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving me this great opportunity. Swami Sudananda is one of the most exciting living masters from India. His humorous, open and spirited presence pulls all those who listen to him into the path of his razor-sharp and convincing view on reality and life. His public appearances are inspiring and clarifying. During satsang, everyone gets the chance to personally ask him a direct question. He answers each question with empathy, humor, and profoundly deep knowledge. Swami Sudananda was born in Odisha. He is, of course, the son of the soil. After completing his university studies in English literature from Ravenshaw College, he met his master, Swami Chinmayanand. In the Chinmay mission, Swami Sudanand studied the holy Indian scriptures under the guidance of his teacher, Swami Dayananda, focusing particularly on the Advaita Vedanta. In 1983, Swamiji founded the Sambit Sagar Trust, and the basic was thereby laid for the Sudananda Foundation for self-knowledge in Chennai. This organization was founded with the goal of making knowledge about the self accessible for everyone. Swamiji's instruction is based on the 5,000-year-old Vedic tradition, which is as relevant today as it was then for mastering the challenge of our daily life. In 1995, the Akshara Educational Trust was founded and several schools were built across India in order to maintain this method of instruction. Swamiji has founded 6 ashrams and 5 schools in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha. He has also founded one engineering college and management college in Odisha. Besides, self-knowledge centers have been founded across the globe and in countries like UK, New Zealand, South Africa, and Germany. Swamiji is the author of over 60 books. He was part of the Indian delegation at the United Nations Peace Conference in 2000 in Newark. He travels worldwide to New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, West Indies, USA, Canada, England, Belgium, France, Germany, and South Africa in order to teach self-knowledge. Sir, it's over to you for the next part of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajendra. Now, we are waiting for the most coveted lecture that will be delivered by Swami Sudhanandaji Maharaj. Sir, before delivering your lecture, we all, on behalf of our institution, Udayanath Autonomous College of Science and Technology, Odaspur, Cuttack, express our gratefulness to you, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Swami.
Thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. And my really namaskar to all of you, honorable principal, teachers, students, and all the participants throughout the world, whoever is there. Thank you. We shall go straight into the topic. Can I just know how long I have got? It's now 4:30. Up to what time I can speak? How long? Time, please.
Yes, you can speak for 40 or 45 minutes.
Okay, so up to 5:15. Thank you, sir. Okay, see, I was very happy to listen to the principal, sir, and he told very nice points that long before the person is interested in the timeless goal, eternal goal and all that, the person should be provided with every type of material security and all types of facilities, conveniences, whatever. Is very safety, security of life must be ensured. A very simple thing I shall say. When I was in the college studying, one little idea struck me, and that is, whatever is my dream as a youngster, like many of the youngsters are studying in the college, we are not falling from the space in this size. All of us have gone through our childhood, youth, and all that. And when you are young, and I was studying, one idea came to me as to whatever is my dream is somebody else's reality. I am studying for my graduation, post-graduation. Maybe I shall be a competitive examination, I'll give some executive somewhere, or be a minimum, it will be a professor somewhere. But then I'm not the first professor. I'm not the first business executive. There are millions of people before that. I'm not going to the first millionaire. There are many people are already millionaires. Whatever is my dream is somebody else's reality. Now, when I strive in my life, go through my school days, college days, university days, and get a job, get some money. At the end of the day, maybe you get 1 million or 2 millions or 5 millions. But then there are some people who are starting with that. What is my end point is somebody's beginning. Where does he go? Why am I telling this? Because this is what exactly I was thinking as the professor, the principal sir of this college talked about. That everybody should have all these things, then only you can go for the next higher goal. No, friends. Ultimately, what it happens is, first find out from among the humanity, There are millions and millions. There were 7 billion people, but at least there are 1 billion people who are very well off. There are millions of people who are mega rich. In today's time, they are mega rich. Ask that question. What we are trying to give to the poor man, uneducated person, there are millions who have been rich and who have been educated. Have they solved their problem? In Oriya, they say that, I can tell you just a little line. Are you a happy man? How can I be happy? I don't have a job, I don't have money, I don't have a car, I don't have a wife, I don't have a husband, I don't have anything. How do you expect me to be happy? Meaning, we have got a sorry, sad principle that helle heavy. I am heavy. So we are putting a condition. If I fulfill these conditions, then I shall be happy. Think, friends, there are millions of people who have fulfilled those conditions. They are educated, they have got wonderful job, happily married, children are there, they are also growing up. Everybody reaches that. But have you seen those people absolutely happy and comfortable? Still they are wanting something, still they are desiring for something. Because the moment you reach the goal, you think that is the end of it, suddenly new vistas open up. It's like going in the Himalayas for a trekking. You struggle, go up 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. Then you think, oh God, now this is the end. And the moment you go to the car, another 1 kilometer opens up in front of you. And you are permanently dissatisfied, destroyed. And that is why many so-called people, they will say, the forest is green, lovely and deep and all that. Miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. Nobody, not many have died fulfilled. Everybody says miles to go before I sleep. Because if only I can have a child, if only I can have a job, if only I can have a million. This is the sad dream of millions of people. Because that is what we have been trained to look at. No, friends, your happiness, your eternal goal is something achieved already, ever existing. I shall give it in a 1 second, 1 minute. Then I shall go into the topic step by step. We shall go, friends. Please, all of us have started from this, in this world. All of us have started as children. Nobody was born 30 or 40 or 50 or 60-year-old. We are all born babies. Now, please tell me, sir. When we are introducing the child, where are you? What are you telling him? You are in this small house. You are in this small village. Little grown up, you go to school, college, you shall say you are in this small town, or in this Odisha state, or Tamil Nadu state, or in this Indian country, Indian subcontinent, or Asia. Even there are millions of people, those who are really uneducated and living in many different types of faraway places, unconnected, no communication. They cannot understand the concept of countries and continents. They cannot understand the concept of the planet Earth. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole universe is a family, is a far, far away stuff. Not many people understand. What happens? Please tell me. What shall you say? If you want to reach the star, start with your child, home. You go from your home, go over to your village, then go to your district headquarters, go to your country capital, then go to the another country capital, then go to all over the world. And if you have to go to moon, star, planets, galaxy, hard, very, very long time to go. But understand, friends, just twist it just like that. To reach the universe, where should you go? Where you are standing, think for yourself. Where you are standing, you say you are standing in your house. I'm in the ashram. You are in the college. Each person in his own house. You are standing that place. In that place, is it just your house? That's your village. Is it a village? It is Odisha state. Is it Odisha only? When you say Odisha, your village is included. Your town is included. When you say India, Odisha is included. When you say Asia, India is included. All the countries are included. When you say the planet Earth, all the countries and continents are included. And this is the solar system. So you are standing on your village. Are you standing on the Odisha state? Are you standing on the country India? Are you standing on the Asia? Are you standing on Earth? Are you standing on the solar system? Are you standing on this galaxy, Andromeda galaxy? Or are you standing in this borderless, ever expanding universe. Are you ever away from the universe, sir? There is no gradual development. There is no gradual walking. There is no gradual travel to reach the universe. Universe is already reached. A place is not already reached. You are in Orissa. You are not in Tamil Nadu. I'm in Tamil Nadu. I'm not in Delhi. Somebody is in Delhi. They are not in Kazakhstan. Somebody in Kazakhstan, not in America. We are in the Earth. We are not in Mars or Venus or Jupiter or Saturn. We are in the solar system. We are not in another system. We are in this galaxy, not in another galaxy. But all of us, irrespective of whatever galaxy, whatever your galactical connection, it doesn't matter whatever type of planet, solar system you are, planets you are, everybody is in galaxy. Galaxy is something ever reached. What is needed, friends, is please see this point. This is where comes the importance of education. What is important is the physically, you cannot expand yourself to universe. You cannot. Your physical body is here standing, and the body does not feel it is standing. The body doesn't feel it is in one place. The body doesn't feel that it is alive. As they call in Sanskrit beautifully, Deho na janati, body does not know. When you are growing old, is the body is growing old? Does the body enjoy the youth? Is the body afraid of death? If I ask you this question, sir, who is afraid of death? The body is not afraid of death. Who is afraid of old age? The body is not afraid of old age. The body never knows. The conflict comes all in the mind only. That is why education is so important. The primary need for the entire humanity is education, 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 and the right type of education. And two types of education, friends. One is first begin with the physical universe. Because friends, you cannot start with something far away from the destination. You start from where you are. For understanding the purpose of life, young mind, what shall you introduce? You cannot introduce the infinity absolute. You cannot introduce them to timeless eternal. You cannot introduce them to the vast universe right away. Right? Your journey, friends, begin from where you are and not where you should be. And the most important thing is the preparation for the journey. The most important thing is the preparation for the journey begins from where you are. You cannot start from where you should be. You start from where you are. And it must, the preparation for the journey must begin from the beginning of the journey. You can't prepare at the end of the journey. Suppose you are preparing to go around the world. You come from Bhubaneswar to Madras, from Madras to Singapore, Singapore to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to San Francisco, San Francisco, New York, New York to London, London to Dubai, Dubai to Bhubaneswar. This is round your trip. You don't prepare in the beginning. You leave Bhubaneswar unprepared. Come to Madras, problem. Go to Singapore, problem. Go to Hong Kong, problem. Go to San Francisco, problem. Then you say, I must take care. Then you go to London, somehow little bit. Then why are you preparing? The next step is Dubai, next step is Bhubaneswar. Already you are destroyed. Had you prepared from the very beginning of your journey, your entire journey will be absolutely fantastic. For most people, education means just a preparation, never reaching the goal. This surprising travel, friends, universe is not your goal. Universe is your home, and you are an inseparable part of it. You can move from a point to point. You cannot move from point to universe. You can move from Bhubaneswar to Madras. From Madras, you can go to Delhi, but you cannot go from Bhubaneswar to India or the Madras to India. India is everywhere, relatively. Asia is everywhere in this continent. On planet Earth is everywhere. Do you travel to planet Earth? If there is extraterrestrials, they come, wherever they land in Earth. But we are thinking, oh, I have to see the Earth. You have to see the Earth or whole Earth. If you say, I want to see the whole Earth, I can understand. But you cannot see, you cannot travel to the Earth because you are already in the Earth. But the same point where I'm standing, that is my home, Same point is village, same point is my district, same point is my state, same point is my country, same point is my continent, same point is my planet Earth, same point is solar system, same point is the galaxy, same point is universe. Needs mind to be expanded. You don't have to expand the earth. How much education, which education is now giving us that expansion? We think we should be PhD, A, B, C, D, E, A to Z. You can have all the alphabets after your name. But the person doesn't know anything about himself. Because there are two things to be known. One is about the creation, another is about yourself. Please, very, very important, friends. If you want to understand as a child, journey begins, as a youngster, when our journey begins, two things we must be introduced to. First, long before you come into ourself, long before you come to the so-called eternity, immortality, God and all this stuff, we must start with the object, the world around. As they say, you can travel from the known to the unknown. You cannot travel to the unknown first. But therefore don't say, but then what have we done? We travel from the known, then after some time we have stopped. After some time we have stopped. Ask that question. What is your goal? Ask yourself, friends. Everybody, have fun. I'm not challenging you. You think by yourself. The moment you are starting, somebody asks you, hey, where are you going? Where are you going? What shall you say? Wherever the wind blows? No, there are two students. There are two teachers. Take it like that. A was a wise man. He knows all understanding. His understanding is complete. And the B is otherwise. One is wise, other is otherwise. Okay, he is not very wise. So the A student was very wise. The B student was otherwise. One day, A was going to market. The B also came and joined on the road. Then B asked the A, the wise man, where are you going? He says, he is a little rather poetic. He is a wise person, smart person, full of knowledge. So he talks in riddles. He says, where are you going? He says, wherever the feet lead me. This fellow doesn't understand. What type of answer is this? Where are you going? He says, wherever the feet lead me. So he goes back to his teacher and says, sir, I asked that boy, A, where are you going? He's telling me, wherever the feet lead me. I don't know what to say. I was stupid. You should have told me. You should have told him, suppose there are no feet. Where shall you go? Ah, that's right, that's right. I now know tomorrow when he answers the question that wherever feet lead me, I shall tell him if there are no feet. So whole night he is getting by heart. If there are no feet, if there are no feet, getting ready. And next morning he has started little early because both the students go to marketing for the food in the ashram. So when he goes there, again A has come and he is restless. The B says, so where are you going? This fellow said, wherever the wind blows. Now he doesn't know what to do because he is ready with the answer that to question if there are no feet, but he completely changed the answer, wherever the wind blows. So then this person said, come back to the master because he doesn't have his own intelligence. He is repeating what the teacher says. So he said, sir, today I asked him, where are you going? He said, wherever the wind blows. Hey, he could have asked him, if the wind doesn't blow. Yeah, that's right, that's right. So he got by heart that answer now, if the wind doesn't blow. That is the question he has to ask. So next morning, again when he going towards the market, the A comes down. Now this boy is restless. So where are you going? The fellow says, going to the market. He doesn't know what to do. Because he is ready with an answer, question, if the wind doesn't blow. More people are like the B otherwise. Because they have got by heart certain answers. They don't know why they are asking, why they are studying, why they are thinking. Nobody knows. We are just given something and we just get it by heart. Why? Why should I study? Who has told me and who has questioned, friends? In Sanskrit, there is a beautiful line. Mandopina pravartate. That is Right. That beautiful in Sanskrit comes. Prayojanam anuddishya mandopina pravartate. Nice, thank you. My students are here all sitting down listening. Prayojanam anuddishya. Without knowing the necessity, mandopi, manda means the dullard, the laziest bone will not even stir, will not get up. Have you not seen? Ask a child, come here. Why? Kyun? Kaigi? Enduku? Yeah. Everybody will ask, come here. Why? Because if somebody is calling you, you just don't want to go. You want to know why. But nobody asking that question. Go to school. Why? Go get educated. Why? Go to college. Why? Get a job. Why? Nobody asks the question. Everybody is going. We are also going. And then what happened? That is the question came out in my heart, in my mind when I was studying my final year in Ramsey College. One question came up in my mind. Whatever is my dream is somebody else's reality. I want to be a postgraduate. I get a degree. My professors are there. They have got the job. I want to be in a competitive exams and go to be an executive, say, bureaucrat. But somebody else is a bureaucrat. Whatever I want to be, is they are already there. I want to be a millionaire. My friends, they're sons of millionaires, business people. So whatever is my goal is somebody else's reality. Then where does he go? We don't ask this question. And that is what exactly, but we are knowing about the world, and that's a good beginning. Nothing wrong. We should know about the ABCD, because unless you know ABCD, A-I-E-E, how are you going to study the scripture? I mean, study the big books. Like number, friends. Think of the number. If I ask you, please count the number, nobody shall start 9, 15, 30. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This number you start. Why? Friends, there is no other number except 1. When you say 1 is 1, 2, 1 plus 1, 3, 1 plus 1 plus 1, 4, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, 5, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. There is no other number. Infinity, as they say, n plus 1. Any number plus 1. What is infinity? You can go on telling 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. When you're tired, I shall say plus 1. You can never count. You can never say that. N plus 1. So without number knowing 1, how are you going to know anything else, friends? Vinayika sankhya gananaiva loke ekam sankhyaam vina. Without the 1, how are you going to count the numbers? Same thing, friends. You are the number 1 in this universe, each individual. Because if you are not there, universe means nothing. Think of that line. If you are not there, there is no question of creation has any meaning. You are the most important person in this universe. You are the greatest mystery in this universe. Each individual is not me or my student. It is not Krishna or his devotee. It is not this God or that God. It's humanity, every human being, irrespective of the caste, creed, sex, race, nationality, belief, disbelief. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Each individual is extremely important, because if he or she is not here, universe means nothing. Creation means nothing. Creation is not a mystery to itself. If you accept a creator, creator is not a mystery to itself. Creator is a mystery because I am here. Creation is a mystery because I am here. If I am not here, creation is not a mystery. If I am not here, the creator is not a mystery. It's just like a disease. Now, why everybody is afraid of coronavirus? Everybody is afraid. Corona has really taken the wind out of everybody's sail. It doesn't matter, you are the topmost doctor, engineer, you can be prime minister, you can be ministers, you are dying, you can be the richest man, you can die. It doesn't have any discrimination between royalty and the common man. Millionaire, billionaire, and the poor man in the street. There is no such discrepancy. It destroys everything. And when you try to kill it, what do? Shall you go pray? Shall you pray God? Oh God, please cure this disease. Please cure this. Why can you pray? The temples are closed. Mosques are closed. Churches are closed. All the religious institutions are closed. So religious people sit down closing the eyes and discover the vaccination for the corona. You cannot. You need all the scientists. The science is needed. Understand, friends? So how do you cure that disease? Think, how do you cure that disease? If the disease is a mystery, please, the disease is a mystery, because we don't know how the disease come into existence. In the presence, those days when people did not know that, what did they do? They do puja. In my childhood, I know in Orissa, around India, around Africa, around all over the world, people are thinking this is the wrath of God, divine punishment, divine, sort of destruction of the world. Nobody, no divinity comes and interferes. Friend, don't worry about that. What happens? So people are believing like that. So they will do puja, they will beat the drum, cymbals, everything, and they shall say, oh, God is going to, now the goddess has come, he will take few heads, and then he'll go away. If you would have left like that, still there will be millions of people are dying out of plague, smallpox, and all that. No, somebody dared. Call him a scientist, call him a thinker, somebody dared. He said, how come one person is dying, other person not dying? Why this disease? So they took the blood for a sample. They started experimenting on it. They isolated a germ. When they isolated that in a healthy people's blood sample is same. In the unhealthy diseased person's sample, there is the presence of a virus. In the presence of this virus, this pathogen, the disease comes to manifestation. In the absence of it, there is no disease. So what did they do? They shall remove, isolate that pathogen, and then they shall create an antidote. And one that is used, when that virus is dead, the disease is gone. With the virus dead, disease gone, God also is dead. Why? Because previously people are thinking God is giving that disease, only God can cure. Now God is not curing. The person who discovered the medicine, he killed the pathogen, and therefore the disease is cured. God has nothing to do with it. So why God? That is how it begins the hatred and romance with the God. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people get rid of it. Why? Because we don't need God to cure the disease. So what is the problem there? The problem is not the disease. The problem is the pathogen, the virus. In the presence of the virus, the disease comes to manifestation. In the absence of the virus, there is no disease. Kill the virus. Exactly the same way, friends. In this universe, there is no problem unless I am here. Each individual, you, me, everybody, each individual. If I am here, the whole universe is a mystery. If I am not here, universe is a mystery for whom? It doesn't make any difference to me if it's a mystery for everybody. So I am the virus. This I, the individuality. That is the one. The physical body has no sense of mystery. I. What is this I? Who is this I? In whose presence everything is a mystery. Isolate that I and understand. Instead of understanding that, what has happened is our educational system invokes that individuality. And makes us a strong individual. Like the education will be defined by this sociology, beautifully defines, absolutely meaningful. How do they define it? Sociology defines education like this: that which rescues the individual from mass of collectivity and gives him a definite identity. Until you are educated, you are just one among the millions of people, billions of people in the world. Village, everybody is everybody, it doesn't matter. But once you are educated, Mr. So-and-so, BA graduate, MA postgraduate, PhD, FRCS, all this stuff. It rescues you from mass of collectivity, anonymity. You are no more just one among the billion people, but you are so-and-so, PhD. You are not isolated from the humanity. It gives you a definite identity. That is where the struggle between the ahankar begins. I am a PhD, you are a double PhD, he is a super PhD, I am a graduate, he is a postgraduate, I am educated, I am uneducated. Who fights? Bodies do not fight, countries do not fight, land doesn't fight, gold doesn't fight. Very nicely, somebody else person was asked, which one is better? Is it the devotion is better, knowledge is better, karma yoga is better, or the bhakti devotion is better, knowledge is better, or the karma yoga action is better? He said, don't worry about it. Which one is better to get the God? He said, forget about it. Have you seen the dogs fighting over the bone? Say, yes, I have seen dogs fighting over the bone. Have you seen the bone joining the fight? People fight over gods. Have you seen God joining the fight? Who are these people? Each individual, programmed in a particular way. This is my way. Think of it, friends. Indian subcontinent was one country. Now it is Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Burma, Bhutan, Nepal. Don't worry, geographically, I'm right or wrong, don't worry. Because of my speech, the world, the line of control is not going to disappear. 5, 6 countries, one country. Everybody is Indian. You divide, then what happens? Everybody started becoming divided. Same thing happens to us. We get divided in the name of the education. Nobody is a brother, nobody is a sister. The human relationship was a victim. Your one brother is PhD, other brother is a FRCS, one brother is uneducated, one person is cultivator. Then who has got what? That human relationship is dead. And the person thinks, I have got everything at my disposal. Nothing wrong, friend. Start with education. But please appreciate, there is one thing that happens to us is I. Individuality becomes very strong. 2 uneducated people you can handle. 100 uneducated people you can handle. It's very difficult to handle 2 educated people because each one is very strong-willed. He says, my way, highway. Not only in the secular field, even religious field. The fighting in the name of, not only people not fight war with them in the name of money, gold, land, car, position, but also people fight in the name of the faith, gods and dogs and whatnot, beliefs, what all things they fight for. Have you seen any other race fighting in this universe except the human race? Leave the world without the humanity, the world shall be a fantastic place. Forests will automatically grow everywhere. Animals will automatically grow everywhere. How much they can kill each other, how much they can eat each other. Fine, let them eat. If there are impalas and deers are created, there are also tigers and lions are created to control that population. It is a fantastic balancing. Human being cut down the trees, dig up some oceans, dry up the rivers, take away the minerals. One species which is so dangerous, and that is what Corona has proved it so nicely. He has put, like Oriya, it is very nice that, the cows, Bengala Pagala, Muere, cow, Muere Tundi, Amedulu Bahare, but then Monisha Muere Tundi, cow is happily hanging around. Think of it, friends. That has happened with human beings. We do not know anything about ourselves. That is where it comes. What is our goal? As education, please, friends, we should start with education. But the next question is, why? That is where the goal setting. Because travel means you should prepare for the travel from the beginning of it, not at the end of it. Kalidasa writes beautifully in Raghuvamsa about the Raghuvamsa kings. Saishave adhita vidyana, yauvane vishayishinam, vardhakye munivrittinam, yogena antes tanustyajam. That was the kings of Raghuvamsa. Saishave adhita vidyana. In childhood, everybody studies. You must study, pick up. Gather experiences. All informations. Yauvane vishayishinam. When you are young and strong, enjoy the pleasures of the universe, legitimate pleasures of the universe. See, hear, taste, touch, smell, expand your field of experiences. Vardhakya munivrittinam. Once you are ready, when the second generation you pass on to them, their baton you pass on, then ante yogena antes tanustyajam. At the end of the day, yogena antes tanustyajam. Giving up the body, at the end of the day, yogena, consciously, you give up the body. Understand, friends, there is a huge difference between you giving up the body and the body giving you up. You giving up a job and job giving you up. Before you are fired, you honorably resign, right? Because you don't do that. Yogena antes tanustyajam. At the end of it, give up the body by yoga. Who teaches us that? Look at our childhood. Yesterday I was talking to somebody, friends. Please appreciate how it happens. When you are children, we are growing up. Please, we are children. We are a child now. We are not children. Okay? Then slowly, our childhood goes. We become young. What do you do to be young? Just eat. Body grows. It's already programmed. You are young. And when you are young, then what happens? You must be educated. So you become child. You give up your house. You go to the school. You go to the school. Give up your school. Go to the college. You go to the college, childhood friends, college, school friends are gone. Now you are one among 10 people. Then the college friends go, they become competitors for the same type of job. Then you get your job, they are all left behind. Then you get the job, get married to your job. You are married to your job. Then once you are married to a job, then what to do? Alone. So you get married. Then you are married, you have got children. Then slowly one day the job goes away. Somewhere in between your parents have gone. Your child, you are no more the son of somebody or daughter of somebody. In the absence of parents, whose child you are? Your youth is gone. Then your job is gone. You are forced to retire. Your job is gone. Suppose your wife is gone, you are no more a husband. If your husband is gone, you are no more a wife. Now your children are there. Now suppose your children are somewhere. They are in some other country somewhere and you are sitting down there, no children whatsoever. And it so happens, suppose your children also go away, you are no more father and mother of a child. Then what happens? Your body is going to go. Think, friends. What happens that time? All your roles are already taken up. You never gave up the role. The youth gave you up. The job gave you up. Everything gave you up. Think, friends. Everything gave you up. Nobody, everything gave you up. You did not give up anything. That is a frustration. Youth was snatched. Job was snatched. Wife was snatched. Husband was snatched. Time snatched it all. Everything is snatched. Then last moment the body is going to be snatched. You are helpless. What was the need? What was the education? Where did it come to help you? It came to help me for riches, money, education, things. Fine. Because of that you are comfortable. Fine, you are comfortable. But just because you are rich, comfortable, educated, or you choose to be poor, uneducated, you can be a thinker, no problem. So just because you are a rich man or a poor man, your problem is not solved or the problem is not created. That is where comes a person must understand about himself, because who am I? I consider myself rich. Am I rich? Please ask yourself, friends. I ask you this question. When you are going to the college, I had been to one university where I was studying. Sometimes I had interaction with some people. I had asked them, what do you want? Why are you coming to this college? Because I was supposed to talk, feel very little time. So I said, you tell me, why are you here? You are not asking me question, I'll ask question. Why are you here? Say, Swami, you want to get a degree. I said, I'll give a degree. Come on, take this paper, duly signed by Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Principal, everybody. Take this certificate. No, will it give me a job? I said, look, what do you want? You said the degree. I am giving the degree. No, I want the degree so that I get a job. I said, okay, I will give a job, come to the ashram. You can mow the lawn, you can be office, you can be cook, you can do that, you can be a personal assistant, whatever. Come, everybody smiled. And he said, but Swamiji, how much money? I said, what is this? I told you, what do you want? You said, education. When I gave education degree, now you want the job. I want to give the job. You say, money. How much money you want? You don't know. I'll give you $500 million. Take it, all in the Swiss bank. It's all yours, but you can't touch it. What does he say? Who wants it if I can't teach? If I can't touch it? I want the money. Why? So that I can have house, car, things. If the money doesn't have a purchasing power, it is useless. Nobody wants it. I said, okay, so you tell me. I'll give you houses, 4 seasons, cars, horses, executive jets, all yours. But you can live in the house, swim in the pool, drive the car. He said, then who wants it? I said, you want it. It's all yours. Like many people, legally it is theirs. But some people are occupying for renting and they can never get in. So all this is yours. Take it. He said, no, I want to drive the car, swim the pool, have the money, go around the world. So what will happen? So that I can be happy. So now you are talking. Think, friends, does anybody ever let me know the direction? And long before I say, somebody let me know the direction, the whole responsibility, onus, the responsibility on the teachers, the responsibility on the parents, the elders, they must know. If they can give a direction, if they have found the direction, if they don't know the direction, how are they going to direct? As much they are searching, that much they are putting you into the search. They are searching, you have to search also. Everybody is searching continuously. So what do you want? Everybody wants happiness. That is where you feel frustrated. That even whatever is my dream, somebody has reached it, but still the person has not got it. Then where shall I find it, this happiness? One person say, oh, I'm not a materialist. I'm not the happiness. I'm not interested in happiness. I am only interested in God. Ask the person, why are you interested in God? You are not a materialist. You are such a religious person, such a spiritualist. Okay, why are you interested in God? Shall he say, I want God to be miserable? No, I want God, yes, so that I can get everything what the other fellow gets by hard work, I should get by prayer. If I don't get it, I change my God also. Why do you want God? Not for God's sake, but for happiness sake. Somebody wants money, job, things for happiness sake. You want God for happiness sake. So what do you want, sir, in life? Other person says, I'm not interested in God. I'm not interested in money. I am interested in myself. I'm a philosopher, thinker. I'm interested in myself. Understand with 3 languages. Why are you interested in myself? So that I can be happy in life. So you speak the language of secularism, happiness you look for. You speak the language of religious man, you are looking for a God. You speak the language of philosophy, you are looking for yourself. It doesn't matter irrespective of what language you speak the language of this philosophy or a materialist or a religious person. Everybody, unequivocally, everybody, without an exception, everybody wants happiness is my ultimate goal. And how shall you get that happiness? I have just 5 minutes, I shall round it up. How is the happiness? Please tell me, friends. You want to be happy for a moment, or you want to be happy at all times, all places, all conditions? Have you thought over it? This is our tradition, our scripture. How much thing to start half an hour, 45 minutes of time to talk, friends? But think for it. Do you want to be happy just for a moment? Or you want to be happy for all time, all places, all times, all conditions? Every moment, wherever I am, whenever I am, wherever I am, whichever place, whatever things, I shall be all the time happy with myself. Immortal, ever existing, available at all times, all places, all conditions. Straight away, I can ask you a question, friends. If you want to be happy at all times, all places, all conditions, if you must exist at all times, all places, all conditions, immortal you must be, happy you must be. Think, friends, get an object which is available at all times, all places, in all conditions. By holding on to something which is limited in time, space, and objectivity, you cannot be timeless, spaceless, and in and through all objects. What is that something which is available at all times, all places? I shall jump the gun, straight away get to the topic, friends, just for you. Listen to it and carefully think over it. But please see, what is that something, friends, in all of us, which is at all times, all places, all conditions? The space, air, fire, earth is not in all times. You go to sleep, this space goes out. No object remains at all times, all places, all conditions. Your physical body began as a child, the sperm and egg meeting the mommy's womb. Now it's a big boy, continuously changing and dying. It will not stay all times, all places, all conditions. It was not, it will not. Your thoughts, your sense organs are dying and aging away. Your thoughts, close your eyes if you like. Your thoughts too cannot last forever, goes away. But there is one principle, a knowing principle, in whose presence you know your thoughts. You are conscious of your thoughts. You are conscious of your perception. You are conscious of your physical body. You are conscious of the universe. That something remains at all times, all places, all conditions. That is the timeless goal of every changing humanity. This moment, a person may not know it, but let us make him aware of such a goal. We go through school, college, university. You have gone through, I have gone through, everybody gone through. You don't have to tell somebody, educate yourself. I was educated. What did I get? I'm a millionaire. What did I get? I'm a billionaire. What did I get? Of course, you can say, if I don't get billion, you'll be a poor man. Is it expected? Is it necessary? No. Riches will not make you happy. Neither the poverty. If you give up your riches in the name of renunciation, you shall be poor. You will not be happy or spiritual. Don't worry about it. If you give up a faith, you will be faithless, but you will not be happy about it. Grab a faith, you shall be again miserable because you shall feel challenged to whoever challenges your faith. So you have to understand something which is yourself. That is the timeless for every humanity. Because when we are born, understand the body was born even though I am unborn. When the body dies, the body will die. I am deathless. Circle is complete. That is the wisdom our tradition shows that. That is where the Upanishads will tell you that. What shall you be interested in? Yasminnu bhagava vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavati. The Upanishad students go there and ask, Oh Bhagavan, please tell me, Yasminnu vigyate sarvamidam vigyatam bhavati. Knowing which everything is as well known. Knowing which I am happy at all times, all places, in all conditions. I am existing at all times, all places, in all conditions. That's something you give me. But you can't go to it directly. It is already with yourself. Like friends, universe is always there. You have to wake up to it. You are always what it is. We have to wake up to it. But long before you wake up to who you are, you have to pick up a lot of roles. Education, job, money, step by step you go. But if the teachers are aware, if the person who is directing is fantastic, he shall never make you feel helpless because he knows what you are doing. Like the person, the child who knew the answers, he can play with the answers. Where are you going? Wherever the feet lead me. Where are you going? Wherever the wind blows. Where are you going? To the market. But the person who doesn't know, repeat answers. Repeat answers. He shall be miserable in life. Every youngster must be given that, friends. That is where comes this tradition must have called it Paravidya Aparavidya. Know about the relative universe, but not at the cost of the absolute, who you are. And that is something true for not Indian, not a Hindu, not a man or woman, not any particular, any person, any caste, creed, sex, race. None of these things are valid. You are somebody who everybody is. With final statement, friends, understand one statement. Who you are and what you have is different things. You have a degree, you have a car, you have a position. You may be the vice chancellor, you may be vice president, you may be the chief executive. You have a position. It's position, you are not a position. You have the youth, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have money. None of these things you are. You must know the difference. You have certain thoughts, you have certain ideas. But who you are is different from what you have. Why? Because you are, you can have, but not because you have something, therefore you are. Because you are, therefore you have something. So who you are must be very clearly understood. So we are given an identity and left with that. I'm a professor, I'm a PhD, I'm a FRCS, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a professional. Are you a professional? You have a profession. You have a degree. You have a job. Who you are, you must know that. Remember this little example and we shall sign off with it. The difference between I am and I have. Do you understand there is a difference between I am a dog and I have a dog? Any difference? Yes, friends. I am the body, I have the body. If you say I am the body, the limitation, the body will grab you. Body doesn't catch you. You get yourself cut by the body. I am a rich man. You get imprisoned by the riches. You get imprisoned by the ideas. Ideas do not imprison you, even though people imprison you, condition you with ideas, but you can be free just like that. And that is the ultimate goal of every individual, every youngster, boy, girl, doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you. Namaskar.
Hello.
I was there, Rajendra Vas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are grateful to you for your thought-provoking speech for our students, and that you have explained very lucidly with the warning examples that by knowing which everything is known, by attaining which everything is attained, that is self. That is Indian tradition, and we are really enlightened from your lecture. Thank you, Swamiji, for your blessings for our students and to our institution. Now, I may request all the participants who have any doubts or clarifications regarding the lecture, he may unmute his microphone and ask the question to Swamiji directly. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think everybody understood it
Yes, that's right. Thank you.
And may I request my teacher, Professor Narayana Mahanti, who is present, to give some opinion on the topic and his comments. Dr. Mahanti.
Vijay, really I am extremely happy that your college arranges such type of webinars, asking the luminaries to deliver lectures on the topic. He is the right person. I don't find words to express my gratitude to him. I am thankful to you and your principal Lingaraj Babu and others for arranging such a wonderful seminar. I'm happy that I enjoyed it from beginning to end. Thank you very much. I have nothing more to say.
Thank you, sir. We are grateful to you for your positive and your constructive thought and words. Now, may I request Dr. Basant Kumar Das, who is with us from Ramadevi Women's University. Dr. Basant Das, comments, please.
My pranam to Swamiji for his brilliant and deliberation, particularly to the youth. And I enjoyed it well. I extend my thanks to both the principal and you, Vijay, for
Sir, not audible. Sir, not audible. You unmute your microphone.
I can hear.
Now, is it okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm audible?
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Audible,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, I extend my pranam to Swamiji for his excellent deliberation. And also I extend my thanks to the organizers, particularly Vijay, the head of department of the PG Department of Philosophy and the principal of the college. And I do not want to give any comment because it is so excellent and so lucid. It does not require any comment on it. The only comment is that is actually very excellent, and that is particularly very helpful for the youth at present. And in this connection, I just want to speak 2 to 3 minutes on this issue also, if you permit me. Now,
You can, sir. Sir, you can. Sir.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you. That here I will speak only on this particular topic, which Swamiji has pointed out, that young mind and timeless goal, and particularly from the viewpoint of Swami Vivekananda, and keeping both our tradition in account. Now, I may say that what is the scenario at the present time of the youths, and what should be their goal, and how they can attend it. This is the theme that I want to say. The present day youth are bankrupt of ideals and ideas. They have the longing for the luxurious life bereft of happiness. They worship money as their god. Social, moral, and religious values are outmoded for them. Day by day, the society now find that becoming more and more chaotic. The peaceful living has become a bygone order of the day. The problem today before the youth are all in the whole world is the problem of choice. Their desires are selfish gains and decisions are immature judgments. Their education is to acquire automated knowledge, that is by bookish knowledge, just for to get a job. Their religion is therefore accumulation, and that can be said to be pipilika vritti, that is for self-enjoyment. They eat money, drink muscle power, and sleep power grabbing. Caring and sharing, love, sacrifice, fellow feeling, they have been outmoded values for this present youth. So that world needs today what is one needed, that these people, they must be inspired, they must be brought to the limelight, and they must know what the life is, how that can be realized, how to enjoy happiness instead of pleasure. And in this regard, I can say it is Swami Vivekananda who has therefore given certain ideas and ideals before the young people, which is to be inculcated and which are also in parallels with our culture, our tradition, our Vedic Veda and Upanishad, and that he has pointed out, and also he has pointed out that these youth, they must have faith on themselves, and they have to first fix their goal. What is the goal before them? And therefore they are goalless. And that is what Swamiji has already pointed out, that they have to fix their goal. What is the goal? Is it enjoyment or it is the sacrifice? That tena tektena bhunjita, which our Upanishad, the Upanishad points out, that you enjoy through sacrifice. That sacrifice yourself, that sacrifice all your ignorances, sacrifice all your comforts, and for the cause of the others. That is, you will enjoy ultimately happiness by sacrificing your ignorance and selfishness. And here Vivekananda pointed out that develop an attitude of fearlessness, don't fear, and also have faith on yourself. Do not think yourself as weak. Do not say no. Do not look back. And your watchword will be for the youth is courage and fearlessness. And therefore, he says, if we are to gain freedom, it must be by conquering nature, never by running away. Cowards never win victories. So therefore, this is how he has therefore encouraged the youth to regain their lost faith on themselves and also faith in God. And faith in God is another important thing which have to inculcate. In that sense, take right path to realize it. First fix the goal, take the right path. Then for that, education is important. And what is education? It is just a process of awakening oneself. Potentiality is there. Man, you are man in true sense. You are divine, and that divinity has to be realized. And therefore, be a man, extend yourself, because extension is life, as Vivekananda points out. Extension in life. Extension here means that you have to extend love, fellow feeling to everybody. And that is the exact meaning of the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the world is a family where we are all brothers and sisters. All differences will melt away, and therefore you will enjoy happiness and peace. And therefore, with these few words, and I also say this, that we can also go with our Gita. And Gita therefore teaches us that live with happiness, but not for the happiness. For happiness means pleasure and sensual enjoyment. Don't go for it. And with this physical existence, always have this spiritual accomplishment, and that is the ultimate goal. And this is the few words I have to say. And again, I extend my pranam to Swamiji, who has enlightened us with his lucid and very powerful speech. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your nice comments and addition to the lecture of Swamiji. Now, one request from a participant from South Africa. May I request you, your good self from South Africa, your comments, please, and your opinions, please, on the topic.
Hey, John is there.
John, yeah. John, ji? Yes, yes.
Swamiji Pranam. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for organizing this wonderful program. It's wonderful to see so many people all together. You can hear me?
Can't see.
What a blessing to have this teaching in the world today, and to be able to share with so many people the blessing of this absolute language that Swamiji has created for this knowledge. To me, irreplaceable. It's like a whole vocabulary on its own, where it just simplifies everything, making it all so easy to recognize the eternal goal, as the first fellow was talking, and Swamiji was brought to a conclusion at the end of the talk. The eternal goal of the human being is one, and if we can all just understand this goal, especially now, with all the challenges of the world now, right now, not only with COVID, but with the climate thing. We're in a crisis, and if we can catch on to self-knowledge, we'll all be fine.
Good.
We can just keep going and solve all our problems. Yeah, the only problem being one, as Swamiji said, the virus of this eye, the ignorance. Absolutely wonderful, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Though brief, but thought-provoking, that you have rightly given your opinion on the talk of Swamiji. Because it was so lucid and so nice, it needs no explanation. It is self-explanatory. Anyway, now may anybody else who wants to speak something? Dr. Kailash Maharana is here. Dr. Maharana, please.
Phil was there.
Hello. Hello.
Dr. Maharana, yes,
Am I
please.
audible? Am I audible?
Yes, Maharana, you are audible.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I
Yes, you
audible?
are audible. Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Hello. Am I
Maharana,
audible?
you are audible. Yes, you are audible. Dr. Maharana, you are audible.
Hello.
Hello, you are audible. Hello.
Hello.
You are audible. Dr. Maharana, you are audible. You are audible.
Hello.
Hello, you are audible. Yes.
Hello. Teacher.
You are audible. Audible.
Hello. Okay. Only. Talk you have arranged, and my gratitude goes to Swami. He gave him the things, and I offer them. Hello.
Yes, sir, audible.
You are audible. You unmute your microphone. Unmute your microphone. Hello, Rajendra. Rajendra. Hello. Rajendra. Hello. Rajendra.
Please tell, sir.
अरे आउ के बाहर लोक अछंती कि फिलिप्स ना के अछंती सिली?
No, sir. Please wrap it up.
Okay, okay, okay. Now the lecture is coming to its last page, that is our gratitude. I request the coordinator of internal quality assurance cell of the college, Dr. Krupa Sindhu Pradhan, to propose his gratitude on behalf of the college. Dr. Pradhan. Dr. Pradhan. Hello. Dr. K. Pradhan. Krupa Sindhu Pradhan.
Hello.
Dr. Pradhan, you are audible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Today is another fruitful day. We are adding a new feather in the crown of UNC. We are part of an international webinar, Young Mind and Timeless Goal. I am thankful to our principal, Professor Lingaraj Mishra, for his inspiring words to inaugurate this academic session. I am thankful to Mr. Rajendra Prasad Mahapatra, a young and dynamic scholar who has introduced us an international repute person, the Swami Sudhanandji Maharaj. My sincere thanks to Swamiji for his excellent deliberation on young mind and timeless goal with a new mode of interaction. Each individual is an important part of the universe. We have to feel it and enjoy it. If I am here, the whole universe is mystery. Really, your speech are mystery, sir, for us. You have presented the deliberation so beautifully, and your mesmerized speech really, there is no word to thank you. We are indebted to you for your excellent deliberation. And you have presented the things differently in a significant manner, and your thought-provoking speech is really, really excellent. And at the end, what I realized, happiness is the root of all. It is a state of mind. It should be unconditional. And above means if you want to enjoy it. My sincere thanks to my dear friends, Vijay Kumar Naik, who has arranged this in a beautiful manner. I am thankful to all the persons involved on this, the Department of Philosophy and Critical Thinking, the persons of the IT who have arranged this in a beautiful manner. I am thankful to you all who are involved directly and indirectly to make it a grand success. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan, for your nice words, wonderful comments, and we are in the last. We are really grateful, Swamiji, for your illustrious talk. and we express our pranam to you too. And always your blessings are awaited for us and for our institute. With these words, I also, it is not the least but last, I am thankful to Rajendra
Right.
for his cooperation, for his sincere effort to bring such a person of international repute for his institute, because he was the old student of this college and his affinity with this institution is highly solicited. With these words, again, expressing my gratitude to Swamiji, I remain. With this, I also express my gratitude to all the participants without whose cooperation, perhaps this webinar would not be a grand success, and welcome you again to the further programs like this. With these words, I remain. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Right.
Rajendra, thank you. Thank you.
Right.